Okay, here we are. Here's the new versions of the EA. They're going to be labeled the same. And then here's the two new ones. I'm going to go through the group and take out the old version, version 1, and input these versions in there. So a few things for you to remember that you're going to have to, on your charts, put an additional moving average on your chart. So for the 50, which is the simple moving average, and that'll overlay what the Bollinger Band has on there. The EA reads the 50 MA additional one, not the Bollinger Band one. And then put the 62 on there with the the EMA on there. Make sure that you are using version 2, whatever you have on your charts that all say the name and then version 2. This hasn't changed, so it just gives a breakdown of what it is. So again, quick refresher, put this on the chart. When the green SAR flips, it puts a stop loss behind it, 1 pip, and then it'll trail with each new SAR 1 pip. This used to be 15, I changed it to 1, so it's tighter. I did add this on there. This is in case you want to change this to the 62 and exit at that rather than the 50. And then this is the percentage of the risk. So this was 3, I changed it to 2 since that's closer to what we're doing. Here's your standard alerts. Market execution one is going to be the same as the other one. I mean, as the old version, just a few of the changes. But this shows you what it is. Market execution, this is the SAR's already flipped. Drop it on there. Operates the same as the basic at that point. So these settings are going to be the same as the basic that we just saw. Advanced. This is green SAR flips, puts you in the trade, sets the stop loss behind the SAR. The difference here is it does not exit you at the 50 or the 62. It just continues to trail the new SARs until it reverses and knocks you out. So this is all going to be the same, minus the exiting part. And then there's the market execution version, which says it here. And I'll cover that real quick as well. So these are all going to be the same. So here's a quick example. The basic, you're around here, whatever indicators you're using lines up, looks like you're ready to go. You just want to drop the EA on there and wait for the SAR flip. So you would use the basic or the advance because the SAR is not flipped yet. Price comes, candle comes up around this white X here. SAR flips, and then it would get you in the trade. Stop loss automatically goes behind that green SAR plus 1 pip, and then it would trail each new SAR plus 1 all the way up. The basic would, at default, exit you out either at this red candle when it hit that 50 or when the green candle crosses. It's really close, too hard to say here. Yes, this is a daily chart, but this is all scalable to if you guys are working on the 15 or 5. The principles are the same. Otherwise, if you change it to the 62, you would get taken out right here on the trade. Done deal. If you use the advance, enter you the same way, except you have these things where you get blown past the 50. Say you've done some analyzing and you got some stuff that are some waves that are cycling up in the beginning. You don't want to exit at the 50. This would ride you all the way, and it would just take this stop loss, so I can grab it, and it would move it, each one, all the way up, and then it would go here, price would come back and would take you out right there. So you would gain all that. In this situation, this hypothetical, that gets you roughly 97, 99 versus 140, 47. So that's kind of how that works. And then the market execution versions is just if you get to the charts a little bit too late. say that this is where the SAR flipped, but say this yellow X is you came to the chart. Things are still kind of around the area. Your indicators are still looking good. Then you would take one of those market execution versions and drop it on there. And because the SAR is already flipped, it would automatically put you in, calculate at this point, it would calculate behind this news, the second SAR here, +1, and then it would money manage and do the trade, operate the trade as the other two did. Another thing to keep in mind is you can't predict what these are going to do, right? There's no way that there's no way to know this particular trade was going to go all the way up here and get those extra 47 pips. So you have to go into the trades with, as we've been taught, whatever, you got to make your mind up beforehand. So if you want to take that chance and you can monitor your trade, then throw the advanced on there and just let it ride up. If you just don't want to monitor the trade, maybe you just don't have time, throw the basic on there, get out at the 50. But whatever you do, the decision for which EA you have to use is beforehand, before you enter the trade. They can't be switched out. You can't throw it on a second chart of the same. For instance, this is the Euro CHF. I can't have a second Euro CHF opened up, whether it's the same time frame or not, and throw another EA on there, because the two will operate in conflict. One will take over the money management or the way it operates above the other, and there's no way to control which one does what. So stay away from that. So the new EA that I created is the take profit one. Pull that up. Green SAR flips get you in the trade, stop loss trails behind, that's all the same. This is where you would enter in a take profit price point, and that reflects here. So these are all the same, the first three. Take profit is just at 1, but say for instance, we'll use this as our profit target. Say we wanted to go just above the 50, maybe here for whatever reason, whatever was going on. So you would take that number there and you would enter it in. 13424, and that would put your take profit. You will then see it on the chart. It'll put it there. The rest of it operates the same. The SARs continue to trail up here. So, and then there's the market execution version of that. So this is all the same, except SARs already flipped. So you want to get in. Now I created this because there's situations, and this might actually be useful for you guys that are on lower time frames, but there's situations like this where I would be trading the daily, right? So this is a good amount. See if it works here, but I wanted to enter on the 4-hour chart. Let me see if I can find those X's. This is not planned, so I don't know if this is going to work. Okay, here we are. So these are the X's on the daily. This is when would have been where the daily SAR flipped. This is a little kind of whiplash back and forth, but say in an ideal scenario, I saw everything was lining up, daily was coming on, but there was a way I can get in on the lower time frame. Well, you see here, if you did that in any of these areas, if you weren't taken out, the 50 MA is right there. No, excuse me, it's the yellow one, so it's down here. So you would have only gotten a few pips here. So a scenario would be if this was more, straightforward, came out, came up, not this back and forth with all the SARs back and forth. But it gets you in here, but you want to use the price point of the daily 50. So it's as simple as looking at your charts, that would have been right around here if you're looking at it. So you would then say, okay, that's the price point I want to go in at, but on the 4. So you go to the 4 hour, whatever chart you're entering in on. Let's see if I can find that spot again. There we are. So there's your price point up there. Wherever you drop it in, you would go whichever one, take profit version you want. Drop it on there. Put this number in here. Leave it on the 4. Don't switch it to the daily. Then what happens here is it enters you in, and it would trail each one. But one thing to keep in mind is you have these times where things flip back and forth. So your volume of trade is going to tell what's going to work for you on these situations. But this is where you can change these instead of being right at the SAR. Maybe on a lower time frame you want to be 5 pips behind it, or you want to enter it in right at the SAR, but you want to trail it 10 pips behind each SAR. Give yourself a little cushion for those back and forths, right? So that's what that would be for. Here's another example. Something more like what you guys would be dealing with on the 15-minute. This drops down. You're looking to get in. You would then drop down to the 5. Right, and say you're bound around here, and you're like, okay, I want to get in. In this situation, the SAR's already flipped, so you can use the market execution. At this point, if you're around this area, the 50s, say around here, okay. Now it does drop, so that there's some consideration there. But this is your original target. This is what you want to put in it initially. What shows up? Where did it go? I lose it. Did lose it. Alright, well, I don't want to hunt for it. I don't know where it went, why it's not showing up. It's not syncing. But you get the point. You would use, on the 15, you would use this number here. If you wanted to enter on the 5, this is where the 15-minute SAR flipped. But say you're back here. Whatever one you want to put on there, we'll go market execution, price point here. You would then put in the number that was on the 15-minute chart. And leave it on whatever time frame that you put the EA on. Leave it on there and let it work its way out of whatever it's doing. In this case, it would have came all the way up here. I'll be honest, I haven't traded with this enough to know if you are able to take this. I believe you should be able to take this, take profit when it shows up on the chart, and then adjust that manually. You can pull it down as the 50 drops. If you want to kind of follow that, if you're on the charts, come back a few hours later, you can come back down to where it is, and that should not affect the EA as far as it moving up stop losses behind the SARs on here. The other thing to consider, though, when you're working from lower time frame entry, but you're trying to get the benefit of the upper time frame, especially on these lower ones, you do have these back and forth with these SARs. So you got to figure out what's going to be best for you. If you want to just stick with the 15 entering, but you want to use the 5 as validation that, yeah, everything's moving up there, but you want to stick with the 15 SARs, that's what you do. Primarily what I've done with the upper time frames in the past is I've either stuck with the daily or the 4-hour as far as trading that time frame. I like the 4-hour because it's a little quicker getting in than the daily, obviously. But I wouldn't, it's hard sometimes to drop down even further because you have the back and forth of the SARs. So something you got to kind of play with and get familiar with the EAs, but it has worked very well for me. So any questions, let me know. I'll drop this in the group in a little bit later on once it all uploads.